The French Connection is a buddy cop film with partners Popeye, played by Gene Hackman, and Cloudy, played by Roy Scheider, trying to track down a French drug smuggler played by Fernando Rey. It's actually based on a true story, which was also a novel in 1969 by Robin Moore. Michael Winner was approached to direct the picture, but he turned it down, not caring for the story, which is when William Friedkin took on the job. But despite taking on the responsibility, he hated the source material and refused to even read it. How can you hate the source material if you've not read it? And then why did you agree to do the movie then?
Who knows?
His main inspiration to make this picture was the fact that he lived with the daughter of legendary director Howard Hawks at the time. He asked her father what he thought of his films, and he called them lousy. Ouch.
Because that's my opinion.
Shove it up your ass.
He then told him to make a good chase, and to make one better than anyone has ever done before. Casting was a major issue. Friedkin originally wanted Paul Newman in the lead, but he was far too expensive. Jackie Gleason was the next choice, but the studio refused, calling him box office poison, since his last movie was a flop a few years earlier. Peter Boyle was offered it but turned it down due to the violence in the script. Jimmy Breslin was a columnist who had never acted before, but despite this, he was given a chance but refused to learn to drive for the role. Steve McQueen was then approached, but he refused to do another cop film after his latest one, Bullet. Lee Marvin turned down an offer as he didn't find the story particularly interesting. Robert Mitchum also declined, hating the script, but others considered were Rod Taylor, Adam West, Charles Bronson, and James Caan. Friedkin was always opposed to casting Hackman, but eventually settled with him. That's nice.
I said it's bullshit.
Fernando Rey was actually cast as the villain by complete accident. Friedkin saw a 1967 French film called Belle de Jour and really liked the performance from Francisco Rabal, who only had a cameo. Friedkin didn't know his name, so got his casting director to contact the man, which is when Fernando Rey was mistakenly approached to be in the film. But it was awesome anyway, so best mistake of his life really.
You're lucky this time.
William Shatner was considered for the part of Hackman's buddy, but Roy Scheider ended up getting the role. Surprising considering he was so adamant that he failed his audition, he stormed out in anger. Friedkin claimed that this was the precise reason he got the part. You know, this and Scheider's reaction to Jaws 2, maybe he just needed some anger management. Oh, and this isn't even an actor. This is the real subway conductor. The actual actor didn't show up that day. A lot of awesome mistakes in this film.
Thank you.
Like this car crash. Totally real. The producers didn't have a permit to cut off the traffic, and the driver had no idea a chase scene was being filmed, so this was completely legitimate. Luckily, the producers paid for all of the repairs. Despite finally being cast, Hackman did have several issues. Firstly, he struggled to use racial slurs without cringing.
Never trust a nigger.
Wow. Bit uncalled for.
Never trust anyone.
Okay, that's better. And the opening chase scene almost caused him to quit the entire production. Friedkin asked for 27 takes and Gene nearly walked, and he was only kept on board when they threatened him with legal action. It was only 27. Be thankful it wasn't Kubrick.
But have you forgotten about that already?
It's noted as having one of the greatest chase sequences in film history, but it did come with some controversy. Many hated the fact that it ends with Hackman shooting the hitman in the back, but the real-life counterparts the film was based on were present on the set and gave their blessing for it to be included. However, they were unhappy with the closing captions of the film for being incorrect. The film claims that Popeye and Cloudy were transferred out of narcotics and reassigned, but in real life they were actually split up for 4 years and 2 narcotic cases later. I can see why they would be outraged. Disgusting behavior.
Oh, bullshit.
The American Film Institute picked it as the 93rd greatest movie in history. Time Out picked it as the 40th best action film, and it picked up 5 Academy Awards for Best Adapted Screenplay, which is weird because most of the script was actually ignored for the most part, and most of the dialogue was improvised. Best Actor for Gene Hackman, Best Film Editing, Best Director, and Best Picture, making it the first ever R-rated movie to win Best Picture. And for you film snobs out there, Best Picture winner Midnight Cowboy in 1969 was originally rated X when released and then later changed to rated R, so it doesn't count.
We deserve this.
The movie went on to pick up 3 Golden Globes for Best Motion Picture, Best Director, and Best Actor for Hackman, 2 awards at the Kansas City Film Critics Circle for Hackman and Best Film, again Best Actor for Hackman at the New York Film Critics Circle, and a fictitious sequel even followed in 1975 with the cast reprising their roles. I will say that The French Connection is very up and down.
What?
Due to its low budget, Friedkin had the cameraman sit in a wheelchair and be pushed around as opposed to using a Steadicam, which is blatantly obvious at the start of the film, especially when the cameraman has to frantically stand to follow Hackman into the subway. The shaky cam does get quite distracting at the start, but what's annoying is when there's not even any need for it to be a handheld shot. The shot is nice and still, I'm assuming a tripod, and yet when they look across the room, this shot that is pretty much the same kind of shot is now shaky as hell. But the direction does have some amazing shots, like here, zooming in on Hackman outside, or going past people's faces to focus on someone else in the distance. The chase scene, I can't lie, it's honestly perfection. You can tell the influence it had on future train sequences like Spider-Man 2 or Batman Begins. This shot in particular is absolutely gorgeous. It's fast-paced, it's intense, it's exciting, everything is magnificent. It's honestly one of the best action scenes I have ever witnessed. However, I do think the movie is a tad overhyped. My main complaint is that sometimes the film does get a little boring for me. There's always going to be exposition in buddy cop dramas, but this just isn't too interesting. They find clues and it's easily skippable. It's not until the train chase when it picks back up and gets you invested again. There are clever moments where Hackman and the accidental casting try to trick each other on the subway going in and out, but I have to ask, wouldn't he have blown his cover right away? Surely someone on the train would have been like, hey mate, why did you just step outside only to step back on again? But despite that, the tension is built really nicely, which the music complements really well. I guess another issue is I don't really find the characters particularly interesting either. The reason Rush Hour is so good is because the characters were colourful, they were entertaining. I understand that was more of a comedy, but these characters are just bland, uninteresting, and don't really have anything to them. There's a scene where they bust some drug smugglers in a bar, but I'm very confused here. Now we find out later that Hackman keeps a gun by his ankle, but these guys don't know that. It's two guys without guns against about a dozen people. Why do they surrender so easily? Hackman threatens to break their hands and that's it. He punches them and all, but come on! As much as I love Hackman, most of these guys look like they could take him in a fight. Even after the epic train chase, everything slows down again, which is understandable. It gives the audience time for a breather. But then there's exposition as they search through a car for drugs, and again, I don't really find it interesting. Also, they rip apart the vehicle and find nothing, and Hackman still isn't convinced. I mean, he's proven to be right, but my point is he looks like a stubborn child.
That thing is clean. I don't buy that, Irv.
No! It's not true, look again! Look, you can tell it's French because he has a baguette. The effects are also really impressive for such a low budget. These gory shots are insanely well done. What the hell was that? Also, these are the worst detectives ever. They make it so obvious that they're following someone. They instantly drive after them as soon as they leave. Their target turns around, so they pull up immediately and start staring. They even pull up outside the building directly and just stare in at them. Oh, look right here, he's literally staring right at him through the window. These are the worst detectives in the history of Stealthland. This auction scene is actually awfully edited. For a film praised for its editing, the auctioneer is constantly cut off mid-breath, so you can tell that they were filmed separately. It just looks awful. How bad is it when a character gets cut off? But credit to the film's testicles. A sniper tries to take out Hackman but has terrible aim and ends up murdering a mother in front of her crying baby. Jesus Christ! And later on, Hackman nearly drives into another baby carriage. What is this film's fetish with endangering infants? But how can Hackman see the culprit running away when he's on the roof and he then manages to reach the ground and still have him in eyesight? No. But who cares? This entire chase scene is heart-pounding stuff. It's brilliant. I don't understand though. The sniper kills the conductor and wouldn't the driver have heard this? He carries on moving. In fact, the killer finds him and he's oblivious to whatever's just happened. Is he deaf? And when he has the driver at gunpoint, security shows up to make sure he's okay and the sniper tells him to not reply. Wouldn't it make more sense to force him to just say, yes, I'm fine? He just pops out and kills them. It's just pointless and dumb. At least here it makes sense for them to be intimidated by Hackman. He actually has a goddamn gun this time. But the final shootout is awesome and Hackman vanishes. We hear a gunshot and the credits play, not revealing what the hell happened except for the closed captions. It's a decent film. I think slightly overrated, a bit slow at points, but when it picks back up, it definitely picks back up. And it's certainly worth your time.